Welcome to Lingua Latina Tutorials with Mr. K, Pensum D. This video explains the new grammar and syntax found in Chapter 43 of the Lingua Latina series. This video is meant to accompany the Latina Disco text available from Focus Bookstore and the Pensum D worksheets available from 50%Latin.blogspot.com or christianlanguage.com. Let's get into the text. And our first new feature is in line 13. So we'll head down to, we'll start here with utrimque legati eodem fere. So I'm going to begin here with utrimque, which is an adverb that means from both parts or on both sides, literally both-sidedly. So both-sidedly legates. Utrimque legati eodem fere tempore ad res repetendas missi sunt. So at nearly the same time, the legates were sent both-sidedly, from both sides. They were sent to get the things back that they were requesting, so to seek the things that were stolen. The next new feature is in line 26. And here we have ad haec tulus nuntiate inquit regi vestro regem Romanum Deus facrates desute prius populus legatos res repetentes superbe dimiseret utine omnes huius belli clades vertant. So Tullus is responding to the ambassadors. He says, to these guys, or to these things that they've said, Tullus said, announce to your king that the Roman king is making the gods, or is calling on the gods as his witnesses, gods as witnesses of which people first proudly sent away the ambassadors who were seeking their things. He seeks the gods as witnesses, or calls on the gods as witnesses, that they turn all the devastations of this war onto that guy, so onto the king, whichever king sent away the ambassadors in a proud way. So the new feature here, and it gets used all the time in this chapter, is the various uses of Auteur. So here it means which one. It's always going to be a choice of a plural thing. So it's going to be which of two people, or each of two, or both of two. So those three common meanings, which, each, and both, should account for almost all your usages here. So he says, announce to them that he's calling the witnesses, God's witnesses, to witness which one of the people, or which one of the nations, which one of the people first dismissed the ambassadors. Also, one other feature about Auteur, if you recall from our unus nauta list, all those adjectives from that list that decline like totus or unus, and so they have genitives in unius or ius, and they have datives in a long I. So Auteur, if we were going to decline it, would be Auteur, utrum, utrius, utri, utro, just like we have unus, unum, unius, uni, uno. The next new feature is in line 30. So we'll start here. Et bellum utrimque omnibus viribus parabatur, qui vili bello similimum, prope inter parentes natosque cum Romani ab alba orti essent. So so war was prepared for, but with all their strength, utrimque, on both sides, both-sidedly. Here's that adverbial use of Auteur, utrimque. So this comes from Auteur, but it's the adverb form. So on both sides, war was being prepared for with all strength. Very similar to a civil war, almost like one between parents and sons, since the Romans had risen up from the Albans, or the Romans had come from from Alba. The adjective here, simillimum, very similar to a civil war. Simillimum is the superlative form of similis. So the comparative would be similior, and this the positive form would just be similis, similar to. The next new feature is in line 57. Let's go ahead to 57, and here we have, we'll start with illute tulle moneo. Etrusca res quanta sit, tu quo propior es, e omagis skis. So Tullus, he's talking to Tullus, so we have the vocative here. I'm warning you of this thing. Here's what he warns him of. That the Etruscan race, the Etruscan state, is so great, or how great the Etruscan state is, you, by as much or by the degree to which you are nearer to it, you know more. So if we're going to do this in normal word order, we'd probably have you, by as much as you are nearer, you know better how big or how great or how powerful the Etruscan state is. These two ablatives here, quo and eo, are ablatives of degree of difference. By that degree, by as much as you are nearer, by that much you know more. The next new feature is in 63. And so here we have, I guess we'll have to start up with itaque. Itaque sinos diamant, eneamus aliquam viam, qua sine magna claude, sine multo sanguine utriusque populi decerni possit, utri utris imperent. So, and so, if the gods love us, let's go down a certain path, or some other road. Here meaning like a different. Let's take a different path here. By which, or so on this by this different path, by which by which it is possible that that it be discerned. It be discerned of which people, which one is going to rule over the other one. And we have without, so by which way, without a great devastation and without great bloodshed of both people, it might be discerned which one rules over the other ones. So the two new features here, utriusque, this is just our genitive of uter. When you add que on it, to the same meaning. Utriusque, of each one, or of both. So by which, without great devastation, without a lot of bloodshed, of both people groups, of both nations. The other feature here with the utri, utris, these are the plural forms of uter, and they're not as common, but they also mean the same thing as the singular, because again, it's only going to be both of two or each of two, and so you see here in the margin that utri and utris is the same as uter, utri. We have the nominative here with utri, which of the two is going to rule over imperent, and so this is our subjunctive because we're an indirect question. Which one is going to rule over the other one? And then imperare takes the dative. You rule over something in the dative, and so that's why we have this dative here for utris. Which one is going to rule over which? Literally, which will rule over which? And referring to the people, the nations. Okay, the next new feature is in lines 65 to 66. So we have haud displicitores tullo, quamquam cum indole tum spe victoriae ferocior erat. So this thing that Fufetius suggested does not at all displease Tullus, although he was more fierce both with respect to his nature, his indole, and also with respect to his hope of victory. So here we have two ablatives, indole and spe, and these are ablatives of respect, as I translate them there. So he's more fierce in his nature, with respect to his nature, and he's more fierce because of or with respect to his hope of victory. The next new feature is in line 78. And so here we have cum utrique suos ad hortarentur Deos patrios patriam ac parentes omnesque cives elorum tunc arma elorum intueri manus feroces in medium inter duas acies iuvenes procedunt. So we have since both sides utrique were urging on their own soldiers or their own men. So here we have the nominative plural from Auteur, since both sides, and again meaning both of two, talking about the Romans and the Albans, since both sides were urging on their own guys, and this is what they're saying, namely that, and so this is a long indirect statement, we're encouraging them that the gods of their fatherland, or their country's gods, that their fatherland, and that their parents, and all the citizens were at that time watching their weapons, that they were watching their hands ready for combat. So, yeah, no pressure, but everyone's watching you. So, since both sides were encouraging their men these things, the fierce young men proceed out into the middle, or in the middle of the two battle lines. Remember, in medium, with accusatives, we often would say in the middle of, even though it's into the midst, between the two battle lines, quite literally. The next new feature is in line 81, and here we have concederant utrimque procastris duo exercitus intenti in minime gratum spectaculum. So they had the two armies at duo exercitus had settled down on both sides in front of their camps, intent upon the sight in front of them, or the show, not very gratifying. So not a very pleasing kind of a show that they're going to watch. In minime gratum. The adverb here, utrimque, on both sides. So on both sides they had settled down, or the two armies had settled down in front of their camps. This is again from Auteur. The next new feature is in line 92. Here we have, I guess we'll begin with deinde. Deinde cum iam non motus tantum corporum agitatioque anceps telorum armorumque, sed vulnera quoque et sanguis spectaculo essent, duo Romani super alium alios, vulneratis tribus Albanis expirantes concederunt. So then, when now not only the motion of their bodies and the brandishing of weapons on both sides, and brandishing of weapons and of arms and spears or weapons, but when not only that, but also the wounds and blood were there for people to see or for a show. Two Romans, one after the other, with laid dead, breathing their last, expiring, dying, uh, with the after the three Albans had been wounded, or with three Albans wounded. So with the three Albans wounded, the Romans two Romans one after another lay on the ground dying. The new feature here in 92 is spectaculo, which is a dative of purpose. We've seen this in the double dative. Something is for a concern for someone, like marriages are for a concern for Juno. The double dative, one of reference and one of purpose. This is a purpose dative all by itself. So it was they were there for a show or for people to look at. So that just tells you the purpose for which something existed. The next new feature is in 109. Let's go ahead to 109, and here we have Iamque singuli supererant, sed nec spe nec viribus pares. And now individuals, now the individuals overcome, but are winning. So now, now the individuals are winning, but they're not equal or survive. Sorry, but now only individuals survive, or were surviving, but they were not equal in hope nor in strength. So here, the new feature, supersum, is just the form of to survive, to exist. So and now only two individuals survived, or were surviving, imperfect, but they were neither equal with respect to. So these spe and viribus are both ablatives of respect, not equal with respect to hope, nor with respect to their strength. Remember that vis in the plural means strength. The next new feature is in 117. And here we'll start with Romani. Romanio vantes ac gratulantes Horatium accipiunt, et o maiore cum gaudio quod propemetum res fuerat. The Romans, cheering and offering congratulations, receive Horatius with that degree more of joy, with that much more joy, because the whole event or the matter had been so nearly devastating, or had made them all afraid, literally had been near fear. The new feature here is our et o maiore cum gaudio, with that degree more of joy. So this is another example of an ablative of degree of difference. With that's why I was translating literally with the degree. With that degree more of joy, or with that much more joy, because. The next new feature is in line 118. And here we have inde utrique suos mortuos sepeliunt. Thence both sides, utrique, nominative plural, from uter. Thence since both sides bury their dead. Utrique, just another example of the use of uter, meaning both. The next new feature is in line 170. And here we'll go to, I'm going to go back. Here in 170, we have quod vix albanorum oculi tam deforme spectaculum fere possent. So we have this deforme spectaculum, this so awful a sight, deforme, so ugly a sight. This very ugly sight, we'll say it this way, this sight was so ugly, quod spectaculum tam deforme, that the eyes of the Albans were barely able to bear it. So two features here. One is that quod spectaculum is just acting like hoc spectaculum. So, and this show or this sight was so ugly. And then we have a result clause, was so ugly that as a result, that's why we have imperfect subjunctive here with possent. This is your normal way of doing with this normal adjective noun combination, deforme spectaculum. Deforme is from a third declension adjective, so this is our neuter nominative singular from that, just like brevis, short would be breve in the neuter nominative singular for third declension, and also in the accusative would be the same. But we're going to see another way of saying the same kind of a thing, so ugly a sight. They were very, and we'll see that in line 178. And here we have, I'll start with quo enanducra hunc juvenum potestis ubi non sua decora tanta foetate supplicii defendant. So for, are you guys able to lead this youth to that place where his noble deeds are not able to defend him from such a foulness of foulness of punishment? Being very literal here with tanta foetate supplicii. Literally here, from such foulness, foedetas being a feminine noun here in the ablative with tanta, from such foulness of punishment, genitive. This genitive with an abstract noun like ugliness is just a way to offer some variety to the typical way of saying this, which would be, as we saw before, like tam foedo supplicio, from such an ugly punishment, where foedetas turns into its adjective form, foedus and matches up with supplicium, the punishment. So from an ugly punishment, foedo supplicio. But here we have a more poetic way of saying it, from such ugliness of punishment. The next new feature is in line 265. It's actually our last new feature, and it's just a review of something we just saw. Here we have avertere omnes ab tanta foeditata spectaculi oculos. And so avertera, this is same as averterunt. They all turned their eyes away from such ugliness, from such an ugliness of sight. We would say from such an ugly sight. So we would translate it as ab tam foedo spectaculo, but for variety's sake, the author says they all turned their eyes away from such an ugliness of sight. So those are all of our new features for chapter 43. Thank you for listening.